Good day, everyone. My name is Drunken Leprechaun. I am a warbird instructor from Take Flight, and today we'll be continuing from our previous video and be talking about air basic BFN concepts with the Corsair slash the warbirds. Um, Again, I want to caveat I am no way an expert on this airframe. I'll be skipping over some items or other information in the video. For more detailed information, please consider joining our Discord and participating in one of our classes. I will be doing my best to explain everything about like air-to-air engagements with the warbirds as quickly as possible. I am using a large resolution monitor and recording on a lower resolution. We'll be doing my best to explain verbally what I am doing throughout the video. So if at any point in time you see like my kneeboard off to the right here, like text that you cannot read, do not be alarmed. I will verbally read off what I am looking at for you. And I am using a Track IR Pro system. If you see on the screen any random movements, I am simply checking notes or getting a drink of water. And in this instance, we're going to be doing a BFM practice against a P47. So with my track IR set up, right, I don't really play with curves or anything like that. So my head gets kind of, my neck gets kind of strained, and I may lose target and may have to recenter the track IR Pro system. So just bear with me. I will most likely lose track of the bandit per se during this engagement, but yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. So let's just start discussing some basic concepts at the basic level. How to do dogfighting or BFM with warbirds, just at a very basic level. So with warbirds, everything's all about energy at a basic concept level. Everything's always about energy, whether that's kinetic energy via speed or having high amounts of potential energy, as in altitude, having high amount of altitude. You always want to sort of maintain a constant high state of energy in the warbirds. Energy is life with the warbirds, no matter what per se at a basic level, basic concept. So a good example of that, to maintain high amounts of energy, say that you're in a lead lag pursuit right, of a bandit and you are going to be overshooting the bandit. Instead of pulling back on your throttle to reduce speed, you would simply pull up, do a roll, and roll towards the bandit to keep eyes on the bandit and maintain your high energy state that way, from transferring it from kinetic to potential energy, your speed into altitude energy per se. That's sort of an example of always maintaining a high energy state. Um, in regards to that as well, as I mentioned, when you want to roll into or towards the bandit, you always want to keep eyes on the bandit. So with that in mind, we're always sort of turning towards the bandit within the merge, or just always trying to keep eyes on the bandit. If you lose sight of the bandit, that's bad news, right? They have the advantage at that point. You just sort of want to, get some distance, get out of dodge per se at that point if you can't reacquire the target. Um, with the allied warbirds, most of them are high altitude fighters. For the most part, you can't really outdive the Axis birds per se. So if you're ever in a dogfight with a BF-109 per se, and they go into a dive, don't chase them down. Just maintain your altitude, stay high up in the air, let them have fun down there. If they want to come back up and play, that's fine. Just maintain a high energy state. You're not going to really outdive or outclimb really any of the Axis birds in your if you're flying an allied warbird per se. So also with dogfighting in the warbirds, different from the Martin jets, you're not really looking for a big massive explosion, right? You're not trying to create this massive explosion on your bandit. You're not trying to blow them up into a million pieces. You're just looking to do just enough damage to get them out of the fight, so you can. So they're no longer after their going to complete their objective. You can continue on with your objective, and you don't want to spend too much time on one bandit. You want to be keeping your eyes peeled for the next bandit coming up on your 6. And you don't want to be wasting all your ammo, right? We're in the warbirds here. We don't have too much ammo. I believe on this one we have I forgot which guns have which, but it's you have a gun boxes of 400 rounds and another gun box of 350 rounds, going to each and whatnot gun port. You do have, in regards to that, you do have a good amount of ammo, but again, not as much in regards to, like, we don't have any Fox 1s, Fox 2s, right? Fox 3s. It's just pure guns. Um, and you'll come to see, if you haven't flown warbirds before, it is very hard or quite difficult to get rounds on target. Right, they're going back and forth, left and right. If you get up behind them, the wake turbulence is throwing you off left and right. It's very immersive, very interactive. The dogfighting experience with warbirds, it is quite fun. Um, you're going to want to use a controlled short burst in that essence, as I'm mentioning that. Very short burst. Until you know you're going to hit the target, you can hammer down, but very controlled short burst, conserve ammo. It's going to be quite hard. And again, as mentioned, you're looking for critical hits, and that's going to be the engine block. The engine block is always going to be the critical hit. Um, so in regards to that, as soon as you see like black or white trailing smoke or leakage per se, you sort of want to stop firing per se, save your ammo, and see what's going to happen. Give it a quick second or so, see what the bandit's going to do if they're like diving out of the fight or whatnot. Black and white smoke is usually a bad signal for them. That's a no-no for them. If it's an Axis bird, I'm not too familiar with all the Axis warbirds. But if it is black, right, that's a fuel or oil leak. If it's an oil leak in any bird, that's bad news. They're just going to eventually overheat. They're not going to be able to keep up with you. If they try to, they're going to overheat and blow out their engine. Um, I'm not too familiar with the Axis birds when I say if it's going to be a fuel leak. I'm not sure if they have too many internal tanks that they can swap to. Some of the Allied warbirds, right, like the Mustang or P-47, you can swap internal tanks, so they could essentially just swap to another fuel tank that hasn't been punctured. But if it's white smoke, it's usually bad news for them. They're overheating issues. They can compensate for that at some point, a little bit for a little while, but that's also usually bad news for them. So any kind of trailing smoke or leakage, it's usually bad news for them, and you can usually peel off that bandit um, and not sort of worry about them. You can just get higher in altitude, right? And if they try to keep up with you, they're just going to blow out their engine or whatnot, right? So just at that point in time, you sort of disable that bandit per se. Just monitor them and just immediately look out for the next bandit coming up on your 6, or continue on with your objective. Um, in regards to coming on the merge, right? Always high amounts of energy. We're just going to try to be as fast as possible or high as possible. Good attack profiles for coming up on a bandit is from the astern, coming in from a back angle. Um, that that puts you in a good position of controlling the fight in a lead or lag pursuit, for safety, and also gives you a decent vantage point on the engine block. So it's doing two things for you, right? It's allowing you to score that critical hit, and it's providing you a safe control measure of trying to control that fight, of being in the pursuit versus the one being pursued. Um, all right, what else to talk about? So in regards to engine settings, I have my kneeboard off to the right. I know you can't read it. Um, in a basic concept, you do have a military rated setting and a war emergency power setting. I would recommend avoiding the war emergency power unless, again, you really need it, i.e. emergency. It will induce a lot of tear and wear on the engine whenever it is implemented, engine wear tear on the system. If it is or is not, I'm not fully aware of what they currently have implemented with the early Axis model when it comes to engine tear and the cooling system. We already know that the cooling system is a bit off, or at least they have mentioned it to us. You can do military power setting. As mentioned there, you don't really want to exceed that for more than 5 minutes. Especially just for AI, like single player campaigns and missions, I just use the rated or the climbing profile, and that's usually good enough. And I will go from there in regards to just increasing my throttle and then just bringing it back to cool down for the engine. But I find that the climbing profile is usually just fine for battling AI. It does the job, and you don't really have to worry about overheating your engine per se in that engine setting profile. Um, so in regards to that sense, a simple way to do that is within our cockpit here off to the left and inside our throttle quadrant. You can simply, what I'm doing here is I'm just leaving the throttle just short of the indent where it would enter that military and war emergency power, and I'm leaving my RPMs at 2550. So I'm just leaving my throttle just short of the where it would indent, and that seems to be I'm going to try that out for a while. That's sort of what I'm going to do in regards to like a climb rate profile. Just leave it just short of where I would enter a military or emergency power state. And I have been told, or the manuals and things like that, some stories that put in the mixture in auto lean gives you a lot better performance. I'm just going to leave it in auto rich. I'm going to do that for the time being. Again, they did mention that the cooling isn't quite implemented, or there's questions about the cooling if it's accurate or not. The fuel, right? Fuel sort of acts as a coolant. If you swap to auto lean, you get less fuel. And auto rich, you have more fuel, and fuel is more of a coolant per se, right? The fuel is in the fuel tank below us. It's getting cooled by the airflow. It does act as a coolant if it is being simulated as such. So that is just one more thing that is cooling down your system for you while operating in a high engine setting. So I would just leave it in auto rich, if anything, by default. And just to talk about the gun convergence, by default it is set to 500 within the mission editor. You can change the convergence of the guns in increments of 100 yards, starting from 300 and all the way up to like 800 by increments of 100 as mentioned. By default, I left it at the default setting of 500. And the ammunition I'm carrying is a combat mix by default. I'm just leaving everything sort of like as the default per se if we're just out in a combat air patrol with just in a universal setup. So without further ado, there's a range up ahead of us just over the Kubaletti airfield. P-47 will spawn at 8,000 feet. We will engage. Again, I want to hop on that you're just looking for the score to critical hits. I can't really talk too much about the course here, but like in the Spitfire, right? If I took like 1,000 rounds in the back, there's nothing important back there. I will keep flying just fine. You need to score critical hits on the engine block. So let's just go ahead and get into it. And one last thing, I am going pretty fast. However, if you're like pretty slow, like 180 knots per se, you can go ahead and drop your flaps to like 20 degrees, and that is sort of like a combat setting or maneuver flap setting, the 20-degree mark during combat. That should increase your turn rate for optimal turn performance, to shorten your turn per se, to get on the nose on bandit quicker or faster, to be more of a one-circle fighter, right? So if you drop like to 180 knots, you want to try that out, just drop the flaps down to 20 to see if that increases your turn performance and maintain at least a speed of 150 knots in doing so. That is like an optimal turn radius I've read somewhere or heard about. So let's, without further ado, I'm going to unpause the video. I'm going to move my kneeboard to one other page to just talk about one other thing, or just ensure we covered all the topics, and I'll unpause the video again and continue on. Okay, make sure I click into the game here. Alright, I'm just pausing the game, not video, sorry. Again, this is going to be a single shot, so just bear with me if there are any mistakes. I just want to make sure here for air combat, didn't miss anything. Not sure if it's implemented quite well, but here in air combat, we have the hook to the park position. We do that for hydraulic, just in case we lose hydraulic pressure. Putting the hook down in the parking position allows the hook to drop fully if we ever did lose hydraulic pressure, according to the manual. That is why that is there, to put the hook to the park position if you are coming back on the carrier, to ensure that it can drop. If you ever do lose hydraulic pressure, it makes it easier to drop, as the manual reads. Yep, that's it. That's it from there. So let's go ahead and let's do some dogfighting. Yeah, I'm just see how that throttle goes in the indents. I'm just gonna leave it just before the indents, right there, in the climbing profile. And my guns are working. Yep. A little test fire. And flying towards the range. And I wouldn't worry about trim too much per se, right? We're going to be changing speed a lot. Just deal with the trim with your rudder and stick control. Don't really worry about the trim. Just check your coolant every now and then, your cylinder head, and your oil temperature right there below. You shouldn't have to worry about your oil temperature. I haven't had the need to change anything with my oil radiator, my oil flaps, cooling flaps at all in this course here so far. But there's a bandit up ahead. I got eyes on. So yeah, we'll at least do a pass merge first, and then we'll turn in. But you can do a head-on pass, take shots head-on. Obviously, that is quite dangerous because they can have a good visual on YouTube. So it's really who gets rounds on target first at that point. I have him on a waypoint, the AI, so he should at least fly to the waypoint first before he tries to engage me. And I'm going to just start turning now. Again, I'm just going to take it nice and easy a little bit. Again, my track IR system is, I don't have any really curves in it. I'm applying some throttle here, just to make sure I increase my turn radius. Oh, see, he got eyes on first. And we had a mid-air collision right there. Wonderful. And I'm still up in the air though. I'm not sure if he's still up in the air. Well, that was interesting. I guess that's one of the not so much perks. I think he went down. No, he did not go down. He's on my 6. And he might get me in this one instead, which is fine. So that's fine. I just wanted to show you though or talk about the basic concepts for the most part. But that's that. I already got shot down. To bail out, if you wanted to bail out, we'll just go over this instance. Just pull this red knob right here. It jettisons the canopy and Control E a few times and jump you out of the airframe. I did that a little bit too late, but yeah, there's nothing really else to talk about in regards to just talking about the basic concepts. The ear-to-ear part of the class is pretty more straightforward. Just talking about the basic concepts. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to talk about in regards to ear-to-ear. Couldn't really show you nose on, but I will try to do that next time. But thank you for watching. And again, the next video I will do is going to be about carrier ops per se, and firing the bat bomb and radio navigation. Thank you for watching.